Alright, now I'm pissed.
Do a lot. Yeah. Men created this table, them chairs, they fight in the wars for us. Women choose to be in different, like, easier job titles. Teachers. I'm not saying being a nurse is easy, but
Teaching's not easy.
Teaching's very hard.
Teaching is not.
It's a very safe, easy job. Men don't really have a choice. They have to do these hard jobs because who else is going to do it? We're not going to actually choose to be an electrician. We're just not. We're just not.
I don't know.
If you had to choose between being an electrician or being an at-home wife, you're going to be an at-home wife and get taken care of.
But I'm just saying, men are providers, so go do that job. Go learn a trade. Go do something, you know?
Well, you said that that's all they're good for.
Yeah,
And what are you good for?
a lot of things.
Like?
I'm funny, I'm smart.
You haven't demonstrated that yet.
Okay, well, that's
Neither-
your
neither of
opinion.
those qualities
I'm a
of,
musician,
neither
I
funny or
dance.
You
The
dance?
list, yeah, the list goes on and on.
What a great quality. You can dance.
You know, they say laughter is the best medicine, so at least they're giving us something. In all seriousness, for guys like me and many of you, middle age is right around the corner. Now, I don't mean that it's happening immediately, but time moves fast. Just ask the men who have been around the block a few times. One day you're in your 20s, and then you wake up with a bad back and beefy hands. And with each passing decade, men look back at what brought them to the place, or in my case, places they ended up, understanding that we're all an amalgam of the many choices we've made up to this very moment. For feminism, it's not like that at all. It's a bargain, one where modern women and simps exchange wisdom for manic ignorance. It's the reason so many of these chicks act like everything is fine, playing life coach, even though they're single moms living off small paychecks, only to occasionally burst into tears on camera. You can frame it however you'd like, but the fact is, women no longer look at the past, even if the occasional peak would enlighten them, because it frightens them. So they perpetuate the cycle, doing the same things over and over again, taking bigger and bigger dives that they foolishly call risks. Before we go on with the video, let me share the comment of the day. Shout out to Lay the Pipe, who shared, "It's cheaper for men to be single, and it's cheaper for women to be in relationships." Now those were some clean bars. I rate that an A++ of a comment. So please don't forget to reach out to my email to claim your $5. As always, guys, I'll be picking one comment from each video. Could be the funniest one, or the most liked, or the one that dropped the hardest bars. So don't forget to leave a comment, and you could be our very next winner tomorrow. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe too, as it helps out the channel a ton.
Embrace your masculinity.
58% of employees in a 2019 survey have had a romantic relationship with a coworker. Think about it. The woman that you are with right now has had an affair with somebody that she works with. But don't worry, it's over. That was a long time ago. It was a stupid thing. It was in the past. Yeah. Okay. 31% of employees say that they've hooked up with a colleague. 18% of respondents said that they met their spouse at work, while 22% of those who had an affair with a coworker said it was a serious long-term relationship. How common are workplace affairs?
Hey, never forget.
Women say, oh, you need to have a 3 or 4 phase. Everybody needs one. You just got to get it out of your system. Why is it in there? Why do you have that desire? Why is it within you? It's not a phase. It's something that clings to you and sticks to you. That 3 or 4 phase. What are you benefiting from? A range of experience? You could get that from one person. What are you benefiting from? Variety? So what do you think is going to happen when you're back in a stable relationship with just one person? You're going to start craving that same variety. There's going to be a lot more trauma besides the childhood trauma that you already come with. Now there's going to be this grown trauma of you trying to figure out why you can't be satisfied, why you can't be pleased, why you're not happy, why you want change, why you striving for all these things here, why you want... It's so sad and so distasteful, especially because you have a lot of women who are just aiding and being the demise of their spouse. If he is down, they want to bring him all the way instead of building up. The only person that's supposed to be built up in a lot of these women's minds is themselves.
And if we're being honest, they can't even do that correctly. And why is that? Well, it has to do with the purpose of men and what they have to offer. The value of men is lost on women, and that's why they end up being lost themselves. Men act as a consistent anchor, providing protection and support for those they care about. A lot of chicks make jokes about this dynamic, claiming that the lifestyles of the average male are mundane, saying things like, "Why are you always working? Don't you want a life? You never want to hang out with my friends. You shut them out all the time. I cheated on you because you were never around. I just wanted to have a little fun." I'm sure everyone has an answer to these, but I'll share mine for the sake of argument. We work because we're hardwired that way. That's what it means to provide. I won't encourage your social circle because they make you a bad person. And good. Glad you had your fun because we doubt you'll have any for the foreseeable future. Now, all of these are valid answers to the following statements men see every day. But the thing is, the feminist bargain will act as a firewall. None of these perfectly sensible responses will do anything but ignite rage and projection, with the hive mind cheering them on with every step they take closer to the abyss. Which brings me to my next point.
What do you think is the biggest red flag in a woman?
Oh, yeah. So externalizing. So an externalizer is somebody who's doesn't have an internal locus of control. So she gets angry. It's not because of anything that's going on inside of her mind. It's that you did this. So the way that they're going to regulate their own emotion is not by controlling themselves, but by trying to control everything around them. And if you're going to be around them, they're going to be trying to control you. So like, don't do that. We have to do this. And if you deviate from that, they get all out of sorts because they're in this like perpetual and completely futile quest to make external reality permanently exactly how they want it to be so that they can feel non-anxious or non-angry or whatever. And that's not possible.
Bingo what?
Bingo, bingo.
Is there something I can do? They're my in-laws. I feel like we should...
Lou Shrubner. That's your divorce attorney? He's good. She'll be living with me, by the way.
Hank. What time does school start in the morning, Hank? What's her teacher's name? Brownie meetings are which night? Soccer? What's her favorite color? Who's her best friend? What does she eat for breakfast? Do you even know her pediatrician's name, his phone number, and you got that on you? I'm not gonna let you punish her for this, okay? She understands. She knows it's not right that her daddy's never home before her bedtime. He's always on his phone on the weekends. She knows that it's not right that her mom is sad all the time.
Sad? You're sad? I befriended your old Gore-Tex-wearing college buddy Josh and fucked him. You're so rugged. He's so wise. I don't know why you're not hanging off a mountain with him in a net right now. Want to do something for me? What are the fucking hydrangeas?
The American marriage. It's not what it's cracked up to be. Yes, this is a movie clip, and yes, it's not in itself real, but this is a pretty mild representation of what happens when men make compromises and decide that a Western woman is better than nothing. The words that they exchange are as real as the price of groceries and as poignant as death. Women, for the last century and slightly beyond, have brought stories like this to court and social clubs, damning the men they chose to date or marry for doing everything they can to put food on the table and clothes on everyone's backs. According to the mainstream media of the West, this is a sign of neglect and a valid reason to get a hefty paycheck. But what they don't tell people is this is the very essence of masculinity, sacrifice for the greater good, not just for us, but everyone else within a 500-mile radius. To them, the mother marching down and asking questions about the mundane is a heroic stance, which is not only hilarious, but extremely insulting. Allow me the wiggle room to bring a little scenario. Say you had a long day at work at a construction site, you're tired, stressed, and in need of a cold drink and a long night's rest. When you get home, you see half of your belongings, currencies, metals, furniture, and whatever else left out on the curb, ready to be picked up by a neurosurgeon in a U-Haul. When you reasonably ask what the hell is going on, the doctor just grins and tells you he deserves it for giving you a consultation a few months back. Then when you explain that you already paid him, he just tells you he deserves more, telling you something like, "Do you even know the names of my patients? Do you know how many hours I work a week? Do you know how the student debt I accrued to get to this position?" If you find yourself asking, why the hell does any of this unrelated stuff matter, then I think the message was received. The fact is, it doesn't matter. Why? Because it's the doctor's job, not yours. The same can be applied to the makeup, mani-pedis, and whatever is in the kid's lunchbox. It's not your job. It's hers, but you're being punished for it. And this is where things get a little complicated, and it has to do with men, actually, more specifically, the men that stick around.
The definition of a simp is someone who sacrifices individuality, masculinity, and purpose. They kind of fuel the fire to the modern woman culture for sure. To the simp, I'm the final opponent in the video game, playing on expert level with a bad controller. Simps reward disrespectful behavior. The problem with simps is that they will forego their value system, their testosterone, their manhood, their creativity, their uniqueness, just for the chance to get close to some yams or some complex carbohydrates.
Stop fooling around, you simp.
How many people who are in your industry who have children, whose children are proud of them, that they share their wife around or vice versa?
Go to church on Sunday, do your praying, be your slave, and let's carry on. Because I'm tired, I'm jet lagged, I've got a headache.
Dude, just answer the question the super chatter asked you. The super chatter's asking this question because he wants to know what your answer is.
To what? I'm summing up very quickly.
So his question is, how many of the people you know inside of this industry who allow their wife or significant other to be shared or are engaged in have children who are proud of them? That's what the intent of his question is.
Listen, and I'm saying this once and we're cracking on. We're in the Gen Z. We can make money multiple ways. I don't know anyone that's had children that do.
You're not answering the question. The question is how many of those children are proud of their parents?
I don't know any children, so let's move on. Thank you very much.
You're not going to answer the question?
I don't know any children. How many times have I got to say? You're pissing me off.
Yeah, I know you don't have children. That's not what the question was. Listen to what the question is. How many of these people in this industry that you deal with who have children, whose children are proud of them?
Have you checked on your wife? She might be at the minute.
Are you going to answer my question?
Bro, move on, bro. You're pissing me off, bro. Just move on.
Yeah, I don't care if I'm pissing you off.
And you shouldn't. You'd just be wasting your time. I tend to talk about other things because these types of men are in the minority at this point, but since we're talking about the feminist bargain, it would be irresponsible for me to say that, at least in part, this doesn't have to do with the jellyfish that have stayed around. The baby elephant seals that move up the beach when the big one sleeps, the men who surrender their needs and settle for a slim chance of getting a used car with busted headlights. I am, of course, talking about simps. Depending on your age and position in society, these guys might be in high school or the cubicle next door. They're the ones looking at the thirst traps, paying money to a woman for 3 minutes of their time, or maybe they decided to throw it all away, join the progressive movement, and essentially act like women because they felt that would be the easiest route to their girlfriend's pants. Now obviously, I'm not talking about Chad at the bar. I'm talking about the ones that surrender their dignity and self-respect, the stepdads that, quote, stepped up, the ones that put on cat ears for a TikTok or whatever the hell else. The main culprit is women, of course. If they didn't do what they do, none of this would be possible. However, it's impossible to note that simps have been there every step of the way, encouraging female voting rights, to passing legislation that leveled the workforce, to throwing down the gravel and representing women in a case that would give them most of a man's livelihood. It's why I often say real men in these videos, because that's who I'm referring to. We don't claim the ones that never woke up by choice. Perhaps the only silver lining in all of this is that the guys that threw away the man card and the women that support it often suffer the same fate: loneliness.
70-something% of trainers sleep with their clients. So it's a very
70%?
70%. You know, it's the only thing that's higher in infidelity is hospitals. You're going to have an opportunity. And the difference between you being a decent, okay trainer and a very successful one is, can you resist the temptation to sleep with your clients? Because it's going to come your way. And it's going to be tempting because they're going to be good looking and successful and all the things. And you're going to want to. And in the back of your head, you're going to think, oh, this exception. It's and then that's the beginning of the end for you. You'll never be that successful if you do that.
Why won't they ever be as successful?
Best clients, they're not looking for that. They're looking for someone who's intelligent, that's professional, that's going to help.
Namaste.
My mom started working out with a reef. My dad's traveling a lot. We start seeing a reef a lot at the house.
Oh gosh, okay.
So he starts privately training my mom at the house. I remember one day they were working out in the workout room and I tried to go into the room and it was locked. And I was like, hey, open up. And they would not open the door. Now I know what they were actually doing in there. We moved to Knoxville. My mom was a fucking mess. She was crying every single day. It was like she was mourning the death of somebody. She couldn't function to even do anything for us kids, like as far as like cooking dinner or getting us to school. It was basically neglect almost. Like she never made us brush our teeth, never made us take a bath. Literally all she did every day was sit on the phone with Arif. She started Western Unioning him all of our child support to the point where we lost power in our house for over a week. Our power's out. We have no food. Like, it doesn't make sense. And this is when I realized that Arif wasn't in it for my mom. He was in it for my dad's money.
And that's why fathers make the best parents. Women and simps made the feminist bargain decades ago. They and their descendants decided that the best possible path towards fulfillment was to surrender their essence for quick bursts of satisfaction. Basically, they are drug addicts, but the key difference is that the poison of choice isn't something you physically digest. It's an ideology, a spiritual wasteland filled with one high after another until it all blows up in their faces. The crazy part is that, at least on the female end of things, they almost always have no idea what went wrong. Well, that, or they simply refuse to acknowledge it because their minds and bodies have run out of time. This is why questions like this still float around, even though the entire Man Guide family knows the answer.
Here's some crazy research for you. So, a third of men, 33%, a little over a third, of men between the ages of 18 and 29 are not only single, but they're not actively looking for a partner. The same study said that by the year 2030, that 45% of women between the ages of 20 and 45 will be single. So I've got a question for the men, because I see it all the time in my comments. Most of my comments are filled with guys saying we're done. We're not looking. We like our peace. I need some more talk from you guys. Tell me why you're done. Tell me why you don't want to have a partner in life. Tell me why it's more worth it to be single than to have a partner. Even if you weren't to remarry, just to have a partner. I mean, I've talked to a lot of men. I've got my answers, but I want to hear it in the comments. So please, drop it in the comments.
Well, here's your answer.
Women don't realize the reality. Like, women have a really hard time seeing reality. The reality is, the way society has always worked is men go out every day. They sacrifice spending time with their children. They sacrifice living a peaceful, relaxing life so that they can go out and provide for their family, so their wife can stay home and relax. Women, they're resenting men for wanting to provide for the family. It's truly unbelievable, and women are trying to compete with men, and it's so unnecessary.
There, maybe that'll be in a language you understand, because I'm not going to comment just so you get algorithm points. Speaking of points, this one should be the easiest one to understand. Real men, yes, real men, don't have the time to tend to all the little things for the household if there are 3+ mouths to feed. And yet, so many are forced to because they decided to shack up with a woman that nuked, well, the nuclear family. In a perfect society, men, especially in the modern world, would be able to devote their lives in the same way our forefathers did. They could punch in and punch out of a job that takes 95% of their energy, maybe get a workout in, and then come home to a warm meal and a house that doesn't smell like pig feces. But we don't live in a perfect society, and if you are a Western male curious about the dating pool, this is what you find.
How often do you fear for your safety when a man catcalls you?
100%. All the time.
Now, I'm not excusing it. Why is catcalling such a big deal?
I think catcalling is such a big deal because I'm not out here dressed like this. You can give a little pan of the outfit. This is not for others' view. This is for me, and this is what I feel most comfortable in. This is not an invitation for you to come objectify me or decide that this body is meant for you. It's mine.
Okay, and that's fair. I agree with that. Now, for a lot of women who say they dress for themselves, why do you often see women walking around in uncomfortable shoes and skimpy outfits when it's freezing outside?
Because I made that money, and I'm going to spend that money on some cute heels, and I worked on this body, and I'm going to show it off.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying if they were dressing for themselves, wouldn't they be comfortable?
Yeah. I think that me in heels looks a lot better than me in just a pair of sweatpants. I do feel better, and that is still for me. Even if it's not the most comfortable, it feels good to me.
I just think it's so wrong that we don't constantly talk about the fact that women, when we have to walk at night, we can't wear headphones, we can't listen to a podcast, we have to have our keys in between our fingers, we have to have our hand on some sort of mace, we're looking behind ourselves constantly, we can't walk near a bush, we can't walk near a tree. When we get home, we have to be so careful as we open the front door in case someone attacks us then. And then when we go inside our house, we have to not turn our lights on. The amount of bruises on my legs from having to try and crash into my furniture because someone outside might be watching for which apartment I live in, so I have to leave the lights off for about 15 minutes so that they can't figure it out. It's like, if you think about the stress that women are under and they're like, why are women's hormones out of control? Do you think it could be the cortisol from trying to stay alive?
No, I don't, and you're not going to find anyone rational that thinks that either. The feminist bargain, beyond every other legacy it has left, has produced something foul: the feminist West. Sure, crime rates are skyrocketing, but let's get to the bottom of this one. Could it be that women go out into the streets instead of living chaste lives? Could it be because every bit of legislation that would benefit your respective countries is shot down because it's deemed sexist? Could it be because you insist on wearing stripper garb while walking down a dark alley where thugs make a living? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say all of the above. Call me crazy, but I think that's the answer to all three. Moreover, the absence of good men is the very reason this is the problem to begin with. What I mean by this is that by not allowing men to be men without crazy consequences, such as suing a guy for saving you from drowning, you've effectively stripped yourself of the protection you crave. Now, this is the reality, and the fact is, it was your choice.
There's a coldness that you have to accept when you're a man. Only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. Women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. A man is only loved under the condition that he provides something.
Knock that off, you two. It's time for church.
For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. She gives no thought to the way of life. Her paths wander aimlessly, but she does not know it. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Do not turn aside from what I say. Keep to a path far from her. Do not go near the door of her house, lest you lose your honor to others and your dignity to one who is cruel. Share this with a friend to spread the word of God.
Now, I don't care what faith you practice, that's no business of mine. But that doesn't make the message less true or less relevant. In fact, it's probably one of the most relevant and true statements one can make at a time like this. Men, if you got to this point, it's pretty obvious you're not a simp. That part is a given. So what's left? Well, nothing much. As long as you stay at the same place, walking away, never listening to whatever is on the side of the path waiting to make that aforementioned bargain, the one that leads to poverty, misery, and pain. You're great, guys. There's no reason to fall into a trap when all the warning signs are right there in front of you. Godspeed. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.